welcome to Coffee and a Conversation hosted by CJ Abernathy for South Dakota District 23 Senate 2020. A father, a Marine Corps combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan, Purple Heart recipient, with a bachelor's degree in information technology software engineering. CJ is a podcast producer and host. Please check out our social media pages for more information. If you would like to join this broadcast, click the link in the description to join. Coffee and a Conversation starts now. Have a good day or don't, the choice is always yours.
Am I on? Is this live? Can you hear me? And can somebody on the other end of the screen make sure that you can hear me? I can't see, but can you tell me? Oh, some people are weird, and most of you won't even get that reference, and that's okay. That's okay, because I know things. It's okay. But you know things that I don't. And that is why on Friday here, just a nice easy day, you can join the broadcast for an open discussion. What? What do you mean an open discussion? Well, I mean, like, I talk a lot on the internet. You know, Monday through Friday, I post my thoughts, comments, questions, bitches, gripes, moans, and complaints. Just like the rest of you that are participating in social media. So, I like to have the concept of having an open discussion on Friday, meaning anybody's welcome to join. If you're watching this video, you can click the link. It'll take you backstage. I'll see you're there. And if you're, appropriate on camera, I'm not just, pop up somebody that's sitting there on camera that's at least not appropriate. But, this is pseudo family friendly. And when I say pseudo, I mean, you never know. So, oh man, let's see here. I like my new setup though. Good morning, Indiana Grandma. How are you doing? Mr. Liberty, sir. Glad to have you on. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, sir. Honestly, I can't wait to get to Orlando. Let me just say this real quick. I thought, according to the website, the convention started on the 8th and it goes through the 12th. And that's what I thought. So I booked my flight, everything around it, told everybody I'm going to be there on the 7th. Well, sure as shit. Long story short, it's pre-registration day is on the 8th. You can pre-register, and they might have a few speakers that are there, but so I have like this whole day where I just, I go there in the morning, probably like 9 o'clock or whatever. Register real quick for the convention in person, make sure I'm credentialed to go. Then I got this whole day. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a rental car and, I've never been to Orlando, Florida. So, it's going to be really interesting. And what's crazy is that there's all these awesome people that are going to be within like this small vicinity. A lot of us talk a bunch of trash on the internet or we talk our libertarian talk, as some people would say. And it's like you want to meet everybody. So but Mr. Liberty, I definitely would love to meet you. This is like one of those opportunities that, I didn't know I was going to do, 6 months ago. So, and all of a sudden it was supposed to be in Texas. This convention was supposed to be in Texas, but, then it got changed to Orlando. So, still waking up. So don't get too mad here. And I didn't go to bed till like 3 in the morning. Nice. Well, I will see you there, man. I'll see you there for sure. But again, if you're just joining, you can click the link in the description. It'll take you backstage. And this is just like it used to be, an old open discussion. The way they used to be is I used to say, I'm going to sit here and read you this Constitution and tell you everything I think about it. And if you disagree with me, take up half my screen and tell me why. Well, it's appropriate, at least in the spirit of the open discussion, we start with a quote. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, obligate it to control itself. The Federalist, number 51, essay by Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison. What does that even mean? Huh? What does that even mean? Well, first you got to give government the power, but you got to make sure it obligated to control itself. Well, if the government gets out of control, what do you think's going to happen? What? You think it's going to be peace, love, joy, and harmony in the streets where we can all sing Kumbaya? Where we can all just, we'll come together. Namaste, my friend. Now, it's nice to have those virtues and those principles and those things that make, your life peaceful and harmonious. I'm not disagreeing with anybody in the way they find their peace, in the way that they, get away and disconnect from all the garbage of this in the internet verse. I don't blame anybody at all. Fun story. Yesterday I rode a jet ski for the first time in my life. My friend Tom and his wife and their family, they've been, busting their rear ends and buying some toys lately, and boats, trucks, and RVs, and then they just got a jet ski here, and it was like, well, I've never rode one, and they're like, oh yeah, come on down to the lake, and just some fun people to hang out with, and I got right on the thing, and it right off into the lake, and it was really awesome. I get to the dock. Well, I don't know how to stop appropriately a jet ski, and this one, it was kind of smaller. I'm a bigger guy, so if you just lean just a little bit, I found out you're going right into the water. So my first time riding a jet ski, and I went right into the water. As soon as the thing stopped, I'm sitting there floating. I try to reach for the dock, and as soon as I reach for the dock, in the water I go. Tom says I came out looking like Swamp Thing, like, water out my mouth, like rolling on the dock. But it was really fun. I honestly enjoyed it. So remember when I asked you the questions about running? Think about it. You're asking a guy who can't remember what color underwear he put on this morning if I specifically remember one conversation with you about running. I mean, Mr. Liberty, I can barely walk, let alone run. I will think about it, though, sir. Mr. Dingle over there on YouTube, probably my lone viewer over there on YouTube, sir. How are you today? How about the Declaration of Independence? Oh, he wants to hear something from there. Okay. Just for you this morning, Mr. Dingle. I know we could bring you on backstage and you could come out and recite the rough draft of the Declaration, which is a little more, I want to say it's more like a fuck you to the king than what they came out with. But, when you give a government a cookie, they're going to hand you back a turd. You're not going to get no cookie. That's kind of like that. If you give them the power to govern, they're obligated to control themselves. Well, I give you a cookie, you give me a turd back. What is this? All right, actually, I should say, I give you baking materials to cook me a nice, delicious chocolate chip cookie. And instead of it being chocolate chips, you put your shit in it. What the fuck? When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And I'm still tired, by the way. I am still tired for sure. I mean, like I said, I went to bed about 3 o'clock. I had a trolling episode. Whoop, wrong button. I had a trolling episode where somebody, again, who was on my friends list, and I can't stress this enough. Kindness, courtesy, dignity, respect, where shown. And if we disagree politically, listen, that is a whole nother subject. That is why I set up a broadcast like this. I say, hey, we're not going to agree politically on everything. I only agree with Dr. Joe Jorgensen 91% of the time. I side with .com. Again, if you do that thing, and if you do that test and you only click yes or no and you don't answer all the questions, it makes you lean red or blue. Like, that's a fact in that test. I've tested it. But so read all the answers, read all the questions, or I should say, read all the questions first, but read all the answers for every question, because a third party answer is most likely in the other answers, other stances. But so I only side with Joe Jorgensen 9 out of 10 times. So, but that one time out of 10, I'm not going to troll her constantly on Facebook and her social medias, different posts about different topics, and then go on to this comment and say, well, you didn't answer even about that question. So, which brings me to a good point, I guess. I'll get this prepared up and we'll just ask my audience. And this is where I really feel bad, because I normally don't block friends, people that I've talked to and met. I had to block somebody that I thought was a friend last night. And just because I couldn't, I mean, I literally went live and like, listen, I'm not responding to your garbage trolling posts because I've got a migraine starting, man. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I don't really have a way in South Dakota to like heal these migraines, because if I do, I'm a felon. You know? So I'll put it out there though, and we'll see if I can find this real quick. Uh-oh. Maybe my brain already forgot what I'm looking for. Let's see here. Indiana grandma raisins are disappointing too when you're expecting chocolate. Fair enough. Fair enough. But in this case, I believe the government is what's giving you chocolate shit cookies instead of the chocolate chip cookies they promise. No, you're a libertarian. Like you're a libertarian. Yes, I am a libertarian. I identify my pronouns are he him, and I identify as a libertarian. Specifically, a libertarian who is running for state senate. Yes, Ben. Thank you for pointing that out to us. So let's see here. Let's get the headlines ready to go as we go. Again, this is the last day. Adam versus the Man starts at noon my time, and I am so excited, because that means that I won't be spending all my evening, possibly till 7 o'clock. So that means, like, right now, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be getting ready for the show, which means this might be going a lot earlier, or I might have to move this to a late night kind of thing, But then, how do you have coffee and a conversation that late? Excuse me. I'm pretty sure I shared this, so I want to see if there. Try to share things. Oh, more people are watching me on YouTube than Facebook. That's I thought for sure, I thought for sure people go ahead, get this up. All right. See, I'm live there, so and then yeah, Miko Miko went live last night, and I got to look into some of the software he's using. As a software engineer, when I see good software, I'm like, oh my gosh, that to me is like, hello, I want this. It's like a shiny new object that's like, please let me just know what you're using. I'm a pretty decent guy with software. So like where you might struggle with it, I'm gonna take it and run with it, and so. But somebody like Miko, who has put in like a ton of work learning this stuff, and to get as far as he has, and I've watched him go from, you know, an on the ground journalist earning his stripes to like he's got the setup, and he's on point. So I like watching his broadcasts. I highly recommend, if you don't know who Miko Hayes is, check him out. So let's see here. We'll start off with some little lighthearted stuff here. And we'll see where the day goes. But I'll point out a few things as well. Cynical, believing that people are motivated by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity. Two, concerned only with one's own interests and typically disregarding accepted or appropriate standards in order to achieve them. A cynical manipulation of public opinion. First description being her cynical attitude. I don't, and I have the title up here. This was originally going to be the title of today's show, is that, don't be cynical. Don't be that person that can't say, people, are not always motivated by, that, I think it's a little unfair to say self-interest, because then you're going to have the extremists on one side who are like, hey, what about your life? You should be cynical about your life. No, I think he was wrong. He should have. Okay, well, Mr. Randall, if you want to join me live, I'm live. I'm live. you can join me for a cup of coffee and explain to me how Obama sending in the National Guard would have been received by the Trumpletarian crowd prior to 2016. But yeah, why can't people have good intentions? Why see, I would say try not to have the cynical mindset of questioning every single person. What are their intentions? Is it really self-interest, or are they honestly, genuinely, the person they say they are? Are they somebody that is I mean, don't get me wrong. You have let's see. So no matter what, it is to allow riots to continue without putting them. Yeah, that's something we'll get in. We're gonna get into the quote I'm talking about here. Mr. Randall's ahead of me a little bit this morning. Sounds like Governor Nome. Yeah, no. Sounds like Governor Nome, the one that won't actually put the people's interests over her own. That would be the definition of cynical. Okay. So last night, this person that I had to block, because again, just it's inappropriate. It really is. I'm one of the most available people on the internet. I have the availability here in the morning for any one of my friends or anybody else watching this to just click the link in the description. I see you pop up backstage, and you don't have to. Well, CJ, this is why you're wrong. Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. My interests, while I'm posting these things, are like shiny lures, fishing. It's like fishing. I got this shiny new object that I'm playing with that says, hey, I think this way. All right, let's just see who's out there. Come on. Now, this might be a little cynical, where my interest is, hey, if you disagree with me, I'm providing you a respectful platform to show yourself as a professional when you disagree. You know? But when you sit there and you troll me at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you're demanding that I don't that I answer you right then and there, you know, that's why I provide this. I see most people in government don't provide even what I'm doing right now. Like, hey, come talk to me. Like, I'm posting that I think Trump wants to kill Americans with extrajudicious murder a week before Republicans are saying end qualified immunity, but then our police won't get to murder people with immunity. I'm a little ahead of the curve because, and I hate to say this to our two-party duopoly thinkers out there, I'm ahead of the curve because I'm not bound to the curve socially. And we need to flatten this curve of stupidity that our government has put us in. Because we have a cynical president. A president that would be okay with extrajudicious murder. That's why you hear John Oliver saying, oh, yeah, no, we're going to have to wait until a new president gets into office before we can end qualified immunity, which makes somebody like me go, well, if Joe Biden gets in, I mean, there's a very good chance they'll end qualified immunity because all the Democrats are signing up for this ending qualified immunity. We have the first tripartisan bill in modern history, and it just so happens to be to end qualified immunity. So that's huge. But again, it just blows my mind. But you know, those people that are putting that bill, they're not motivated by their own interests. Ending qualified immunity is a great way to hold everybody accountable. To say, hey, you don't just get to murder people extrajudiciously. Which is why I love it. I love it that again, the talking points are going to be so much fun when we discuss qualified immunity, and especially debating Republicans out here in South Dakota that have to defend a New York Democrat pretending to be a Republican. You know, it's going to be pretty awesome because they're going to have to say, like, we as libertarians and even Democrats can take this talking point because it's only Republicans that are saying it at this point in modern history. But libertarians should be at the forefront of this, echoing this message by saying, hey, what's up, Mr. Randall? I appreciate it in live time, giving me that like there. I guess I could take this down. I guess I don't really need that up there. And what's crazy about it is, though, is we get to take this talking point as libertarians and Democrats and have a bipartisan agreement. I mean, we don't always agree politically, certainly don't agree politically. And certainly libertarians would much rather have Joe Jorgensen in office than the kid sniffer himself, Joe Biden. I'm voting for the Joe that isn't the rapist. I'm voting for the Joe that's the therapist. You know? So, but my point is that, you know, again, we look at people and we instantly, because of our view of the world, we are torn to say, oh, well, they you know, he just wants to be famous. No, that is a played out game. I mean, like I said, I'm a humble little platform. Most of my friends are hardworking, busy American citizens, law abiding, and or prior service military, and have jobs and families. So I don't expect this number to be in the millions. I don't preach to an audience that just wants to hear or to be blindly led. And and I don't even take that position or narrative, because I say, hey, any one of you can join at any time. This is much about all of us, not just me. I just happen to be the one hosting the conversation. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, my interests are to become a state senator. That doesn't make me cynical, you know. But what does, I think, that I tried, that at least I struggle with, is that when people cross a certain line where it's like, hey man, you know I'm here every morning, right? You know I'm one of the most available people to talk to, right? Your comments on my comment threads that maybe 4 people might see in the next 24 hours. You know, I really honestly, I don't know how many people see my content. I'm probably just as much censored as the next guy. I mean, I've seen this number say 5 and then go over to Facebook before and it said nobody watched your show today. Like, what? That's really weird. I had literal comments in my comment box. Facebook still says nobody watched. It's weird like that. So I don't trust YouTube, Facebook, any of these platforms. Honestly, I don't. But like I'd say, like my friends on my friends list are mostly busy human beings that are, like I said, just like everybody else, have to provide for their family, work, do their stuff. So there is no reason to troll me in that fashion. And I'll tell you what, the person that trolled me, I learned some stuff last night. I was like, man, he never even told me about this. See, I don't just get a friend and go, oh, I better background check this guy and see what he's all about. Maybe I should start for people I have no idea who you were before I met you. If you were just some guy that you clicked on my link and somebody said, hey, you should go look up CJ, and so you do, and then you come to me and all of a sudden, you're like, I love you, man. And I'm like, all right, I don't know you, but hey, love you too. And then eventually you get to know that person. You're like, yeah, man, love you. Have a good night. But then they don't tell you all their stuff. I mean, they just say, like, I got skeletons in my closet. Like, oh, well, what is that? Oh, you were selling. Oh, man. Oh. Like, listen, I'm not, you can do all the, whatever you want with your life, really. But, I draw the line at creating a victim and a child, and this guy created a victim and a child, and that child, and not in a, I'll preface it for at least his sake, not in that dirty, like his head should be chopped off kind of way. Well, maybe for some communities they'll be like, off with his head, but at least in my belief, it's not worthy of the death penalty. But this particular guy, and I mean, it was almost instant. I mean, instant. I could put it on the screen right now and read you the police report and everything. But this guy was selling cannabis, and children got a hold of it, and one of the kids started bragging about his grow and that he had more than he knew what to do with, and they didn't even notice it gone. So he got delinquency of a minor and possession of firearms and all kinds of stuff. Good morning. I know, that's exactly how I feel when I wake up too. Just here we go again. What are you gonna do today? Yeah, you don't know. I like this little thing here. Yeah, you want breakfast this morning? Mm, I want donuts. And so this is the question this morning: is it racist? Yeah, I think this is humor. That's comedy, and now they're police doing it. Uh-oh, CJ's starting to get to that slippery slope where he's gonna say there might be good cops out there. Now listen, this is what I'm gonna tell you. I don't know their records. Law enforcement often hires guys that have histories and pasts, and that leads to statistics that are not as bueno. But that right there on its surface, I'll give him one. All right, I will give him one. Uh, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's go back to the comments. Hey, Crystal. Good morning. Dude, what do you? Oh wait, dude, what do you think of all this division from what the mainstream meals puts out? Dude, let's talk about this. It's a major subject at hand. Well, to get back to your first your statement here, dude, what's what do you think of all the division from what the mainstream media puts out, is what I would assume you're saying. It's obviously, in my opinion, manufactured, and people they know need to virtue signal, in their own respective ways. Some people say that, oh, look at your shirt, you're virtue signaling that you're a warlord. It's like, I guess, yeah. I guess I'm telling you that on the internet, I am a warlord, and I own that title. I own it so much I even registered it as my trademark, so I can tell you that my trade is being a warlord on the internet. Now, do I cause division? I hope I cause division from the two-party duopoly think into your own mindset. I hope that the work I do, I hope the work that I do, or the works that I do, I should say, makes you go, okay, well, I like my boy Trump, but CJ's right. He did say I like taking guns first and then going through due process second, and that means that anybody can say anything about me, and at any moment I can lose my precious Betsy. She's a beautiful AR-15 all black rifle. Oh, I love her so much. And you can be separated from your precious because of words, not because of actions that you took. And, well, I guess you're right. I voted for Trump. Oh, why'd you vote for Trump? Well, I voted for Trump because the man says what he means and he means what he says. So he likes taking guns first and then going through due process. You agree with that? Well, he didn't mean that. Come on, man. Come on. Now, is that oh, Mr. Randall here. You're finally in the comments of the live and not the comments of my posts. Perfect. Man, I'm not trying to make this sound like you. I'm not listen. If you want to act like Cinderella, I'll let you play Cinderella and we'll go to the ball. But the ball is the link in the description, and you got to click it in order to attend. Oh man. So but no, I'm not meaning any specific person here this morning, sir, with all due respect. So I'm just giving you the generic, well, I'm from the backwoods of insert hick state here, NASCAR loving USA fan, and I voted for Trump and I will again. Where's my sister? I'm giving that perspective. If you feel like that's applying to you, man, like, I mean, like I said, that's why I opened discussion, because that's there. So, but hey, real quick shout out to Adam Jewell here, running for state senate as well. You also are welcome to come on this broadcast too at any time. I'd love to talk to you about your campaign and what you're doing as well. I don't want to get too far away from Crystal's point, and I will get back to it. The bar for racism is being artificially lowered in order to cajole. That's a good word. Those of the opposition as racist. Oh man, that's a good word today, sir, and I appreciate the word here. Let's look that up real quick so I don't take this out of context. Like, I want to make sure that. Let's see here. Persuade. Okay, persuade to do something. Okay, this is a good word, actually. I love words. It's a word. I have all the best words, Mr. Randall. I have all the best words that Google can provide. So good word. Good word, though. Yes. Is that your breakfast order this morning? You want cereal? Well, I'll be done here just shortly, and you will have breakfast. You want an egg with it too? Oh, okay. No egg. Mr. Randall brought up a great word. I guess you can't really see it there. Let's see. Cajole. Again, I guess I'm wrong here. You tell me when, and I'll join, sir. Mr. Real quick, Adam. It's an open discussion. You could be the star of this show today. I mean, it's up to you, sir. I mean, unless you want to set something up and schedule it for a time next week or anything. But you're just as much welcome on this as anybody else. In fact, I encourage you. You're more welcome than most because you're actually a South Dakota libertarian running for office. So, yeah, absolutely, would love to have you on. Okay, so let's read this in context with Randall's comment here. The bar for racism is being artificially lowered in order to persuade someone to do something by sustained coaxing or flattering those of the opposition as racist. He hoped to cajole, and I'm getting this word wrong, I know. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. You're saying that, okay, so the bar of racism, like saying, okay, well, just even questioning whether or not there's racism isn't inherently racist within itself, and I'm going to use the bully pulpit to beat that into submission until the public capitulates with what I'm saying. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm on the wrong train of thought. For sure. Well, that's a great word. I absolutely love that perspective there. Synonyms. What would be a good synonym for it, huh? My husband persuaded me to come. Don't let credit tempt you to buy something you can't afford. They did not realize that they were being lured into a trap. I knew he was just flattering. Interesting perspective there today, Mr. Randall. I definitely can appreciate that point of view for sure. And I agree with you. For example, here in South Dakota, Gettysburg, the uncle of George Floyd is doing everything he can in his political wheelhouse power now that he now carries as being the uncle of George Floyd. And he's using that, levying that, to remove a town's history altogether. Okay, you got about 10 minutes before you're getting breakfast here in a moment. You don't just get to wake up and demand your breakfast immediately. Why don't you go get some clothes on and brush your hair? Oh, is she gonna get cranky this morning? I know it. So I gotta scroll back a little bit here into the. I do have a video to play, hoping to get to before we go out. Real quick, before I skip all these things. I guess we can go backwards there. Oh, where was it? Man, when you go so far back and you're just like, ugh. Oh, okay, I guess that's too far back. So we'll just start here. We'll just start with we'll start with the photo op. All right. Here's the photo op. Which one of these is different? They're both photo ops. What do you see there? I see two of respective party leaders taking photo ops. That's trying to cajole the public opinion, I think would be the word, right? They're trying to cajole the public opinion by persuading us like it's a trap. I think that would be a proper word for that. Hey, I just wanted to point out 3 dictators that gassed their people and then hid in a bunker. I'll stand by for your mental gymnastics here shortly. And these are all the things that, again, it just kind of makes me laugh. Here's another one for you. Governor Kristi Noem orders everybody in South Dakota to wear blindfolds so they don't see what's really going on. That's allegedly going to be her next executive order. And she is looking forward to signing that into law and keeping the public blind to the crimes that they commit. And again, I'm getting to the George Floyd story here. I just have to do this. I'm gonna get Aubrey set up real quick. I've got 2.5 minutes here. I'm gonna play this for you guys, and this is proving my point that Police have neither the obligation to protect or serve you, and keeping in mind that this has been the order of the Supreme Court not once but twice. As we go to ABC News here, as we go to ABC News here, man drowns as officers look on without coming to his aid. Family wants them fired. So I'm gonna get Aubrey some quick breakfast here real quick, and I'll show you guys this here.
East Johnny J.J. Baldwin plea for help to police as they stood on the bank.
Well, then swim. Your dog jumped in the river.
But no one helped, although one officer considered.
Now, don't go in there with him. He's going to pull you down.
Not long later, Baldwin went under for the last time.
He's under. He's doing it on purpose. Huh?
The video leaving members of the small community heartbroken, angry, and shocked.
I was angry. I was tearful. I have watched the life drain out of someone's eyes. And I don't understand how they could just stand there and do nothing. Because human nature, if you have any humanity, your first impulse is to help someone. Even your worst enemy, you don't want to see anything befall them. But they let this man die while they stood there on the bank.
How come he couldn't reach out the baton that he was using to tear down the trees, extend it to Jay and save him? Why was nothing done?
The Winchester police chief telling me that his officers made the best decision, saying they didn't know how deep the water was. It was dark, and that they are not trained in water rescue.
As a veteran, they taught us water rescue. I was 145 pounds dragging 300-pound guys out of water as training. If these police officers don't have the same comparable training that I had as a veteran, they don't need to be on the force.
Family members now calling for the officers to be fired and charges filed.
Why didn't they save him? He was an innocent 24-year-old man, drowned, begged for help 3 times, and the police sat there and laughed and made jokes about it.
You can't sweep it under the rug. This is bigger than Franklin County now. And we're going to keep pushing it. And we're going to keep pushing it. And we're going to keep pushing it until we get answers.
Now, the Winchester police chief tells me there is not an internal investigation. I did also reach out to the Deckard Police Department, who was also involved in this, but have not yet heard back. Reporting out of Franklin County, Stephanie Langston, News 2.
All right. So, again, that's a story, again, going back to they don't have the obligation to serve nor protect you. And when they don't protect you or serve you, they have what's called qualified immunity to shield them from from any wrongdoing. You guys like how I've turned this into, I got 2.5 minutes. I better get Aubrey her bowl of cereal so she get some breakfast going on. See, you got to think outside the box when you work from home. You have kids, you know. Like, I wanted to talk about the story. It's got a 2.5 minute video. Let me get her bowl of cereal real quick. As Mr. Jewell would say here, kids, man. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys. Understanding. So you got it exactly. Again, going back to cajole. Again, I'm gonna have to listen to it. I'll join you next time when I wake up early to do my hair. Well, listen, man, you're looking at the guy that messy hair don't care. Put on a hat. It's good enough for the public. It's good enough for me. But again, you're welcome on. You're welcome on any time. Don't worry about the status of your hair. So again, that was just a preface story, real quick, to the fact that a man drowns and law enforcement officers, and I want to point out what the veteran did say in that video, that, I mean, if you can't drag somebody across the swimming pool, the Marine Corps is like, nah, you're no good, man. We don't need you. You failed swim qual. You keep failing swim qual. Like, you can't do the job. Like, I mean, how many people graduate boot camp having failed swim qual? I don't. I guess I'd have to know that number, but that's just one thing that goes to show that, again, this seems to be one where not a lot of people want to talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. It's the famous tweet here that's been going around, making the circles all the way back to April 27th, 2015. The United States developed into riots again. Sad. Obama needs to resign. A real leader does not let their country fall this low. So I'll wait for the mental gymnastics of the Trumplicans to say, well, CJ, I mean, he did tweet this brain thought. He says what he means what he says. Donald Trump's right 100%. Okay, well, let's replace this with what it should say, proper modern vernacular, today's time, almost a little over 5 years later. The United States developed into riots again. Sad. Trump needs to resign. A real leader doesn't let their country fall this low. And then my question is, and maybe the comments can correct me where I'm wrong. Did Barack Obama order the National Guard? Did he order the National Guard in on the riots? I guess I didn't look at that real quick. See how much time do I got left. I want to cover the Gettysburg story real quick. I know it's in here somewhere. Here it is. Okay. Yes, Aubrey. A weird beeping sound in your headphones. I don't know what to tell you, Aubrey. Okay, plug it back. Unplug it and plug it back in. Does that work? Oh, that worked? Okay. So, I'm going to get to this story real quick. I might run a little bit over, and Studio Freedom's just going to have to wait. Because this is a South Dakota story. And it's kind of opportunistic, cajole, I guess maybe might be the word. But George Floyd's uncle wants Gettysburg to remove Confederate flag from police logo. And again, here seen is Mr. George Floyd. His uncle holds his cell phone up during a prayer following a walk commemorating nephew on May 30th in Memorial Park in Rapid City. So for those again that don't know, George Floyd's uncle is a South Dakota resident. George Floyd's uncle lived in Rapid City for 20 years before moving to Gettysburg in central South Dakota 3 years ago and becoming a business owner in the town of 1,200. So about the same size as Eureka, give or take. I mean, I got on a good year, I guess. I guess Gettysburg has a little more people. Now he wants to see his community remove the Confederate flag that is a part of the police department's logo. Slewin Jones said Tuesday that, I'm probably butchering his name. Again, nothing intentional there. Said Tuesday that he has friends who are police officers in Gettysburg and that the logo is something he's, quote, sure will change now with all of the things going on in the world. Saying, quote, I am a crusader for change, said Jones, a hotel owner who recently attended a peaceful walk in Rapid City commemorating his nephew's life. I'll see if we can figure out a way to make a change in that. It will change. Gettysburg, which is in Potter County, is also across the Missouri River from Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. Lynn Hart, a black man, a Native American, said he is offended to see the Confederate flag on the police department's logo in Gettysburg. And so the police patch taken from a 2015 Facebook post on Gettysburg, South Dakota page shows the police department's logo with the American and Confederate flags overlapped with a cannon from the battle the city is named for. So, what do you guys think? Is that opportunistic? Is that cajoling the population? Again, I believe that not only do people have a right to protest history. You can protest it. Listen, I don't agree with history is okay. I'm not saying that you can't protest history, but that doesn't change history. And in all honesty, the flip side, of this argument is also true. People have a right to protest history, but people also have a right to protect their history. And that is why you can redress your grievance, but you cannot force and use the government to force the change. It has to come from the people organically. So while I understand you drumming up support because you believe this is racist, what this symbolizes is a battle that took place in history between two sides. And in the logo itself alone does not depict a pro-Confederate or pro-United States stance within itself. It depicts two sides and a cannon having a battle. And in fact, I would even argue that the cannon's pointed at the Confederate flag. To be honest, if you're really looking at it now that I'm really getting eyes on it, I go, yeah, the cannon's pointing at the Confederate side. You know, it's not pointed at the United States side. And that's something that, again, I think most people who hear this story and just like, yeah, it's racist. I don't really know if you know what that even means. Honestly, I don't even know if you know what that means. So it's kind of insane to me that you think that that it's just going to go away like that. If they really wanted to be sincere, he says, about history, they would use the white flag in that logo, said Hart. Nothing that the Confederacy fought for slavery, which is a common misconception. This goes to show the ignorance of some people. Yes, they did surrender. I mean, again, that's a pretty interesting point to make for sure. But they weren't fighting for slavery. That's a common uneducated misnomer used by people of low intelligence that lack the education of history to even make a respectable opinion to be considered in the public discourse. So, unfortunately, it's that easy to discredit yourself in today's modern vernacular, which is why every word means something and people hang and cling to every word people say. So, no, the Confederacy did not fight for slavery. That is a misconception. They fought for states' rights, and they wanted states to be able to decide for themselves whether or not slavery should be illegal or allowed in their states individually. So slavery was one aspect. It was not the entire reasoning for the Civil War. So again, a common misnomer and misconception used by racists on both sides. So, like I said, this kind of, and again, people on one side are like, I'm not racist, you stupid white people. Huh? Like, I've literally heard that come out of a person's mouth before. I'm not racist, you stupid white people. Like, okay, you're racist, you're just ignorant. To me, this is, to me, and again, so proving its opinion, this is not going to help South Dakota's image. And again, South Dakota doesn't have a great image as it is already. To me, it's a symbol of racism and bigotry. Again, this is ignorance because it's depicting neither a pro or anti-Confederate leaning. Protests have erupted nationwide in the death of George Floyd. We've already heard that. Desire to remove Confederate statues, retiring the flag also came after the white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, North Carolina turned violent. And again, this is Governor Kristi Noem spoke about the counter protesters who have shown up at the Black Lives Matter protest in Rapid City with the Confederate flag and said that they are, quote, disappointing to see. Look at you, Governor Noem. You're already throwing your hands out there saying, "Oh, that flag should be that flag is disappointing to see it." People riding around in pickup trucks with Confederate flags are embarrassing, says the mayor. But I guess the mayor defends flag. Gettysburg Mayor Bill Wutke Woot. I don't know how you're going to say that. I get butchered names all the time. Said he will not remove the flag from the logo on the police cars, buildings, or uniforms and maintains it represents history. Quote, the reason it was put on there has nothing to do with racism. It has to do with our heritage. He said, if I thought for a minute it had something to do with racism, that would be a whole different ballgame. But it doesn't, and it didn't. It's just strictly to do with the history of our community. And in that, I say, sir, you have the right to protect your history, to not allow it to be defined by people who are political opportunists cajoling the public. Thank you again, Mr. Randall, for that lovely word today. So, he just some notable points here. He goes on to say this patch has no racist intentions. It's meant to be another way that we, as the city, represent our heritage. And so again, a lot of people came to Gettysburg, South Dakota, which is just right down the road from me. I've actually chopped corn out in Gettysburg. You know, we've got some clients out there for the boss that I work for, and when it comes time for harvest season, we would get out there with the trucks and the chopper, and we'd go work in Gettysburg. I didn't see one racist out there. Nobody was out there going, yay! Nobody running around in white hoods. And so again, it blows my mind. It's not racist because it hurts your feelings. It's racist to you because you have an ignorant understanding of history. And you don't have a solid grasp of reality in the time you live in. See, if you disagree with what this is, it's depicting a battle between essentially two competing nations, the Confederacy and the Union. It doesn't have the American flag on the ground and the Confederate flag waving above it and the cannon pointing at the U.S. flags with holes in it. It doesn't have that. It also does not have depicting any person individually by any color. But keep in mind, people of both white and black nationalities and other nationalities fought in the Civil War on both sides. So just the ignorance of history from some people should not be able to dictate whether or not a city that's named after one of the most famous battles of the Civil War, where people from both sides after it was over said, okay, well, you know what? We're going to go be farmers, and there's a great territory called the Dakota Territory. We're going to go farm that. The war's over. We've settled this. It's done. They went and they moved there. And they've built a community of farmers. Not racists, farmers. And keep in mind, South Dakota doesn't have and didn't have slavery in the modern sense. So, in 1889, South Dakota becomes a state. It didn't become a slave state. Make sense? So, there's no racism in the history of Gettysburg, South Dakota. And if there was, it's not like it's there today. In today's modern time. But the flag, the Confederate flag, has never been about slavery. That is a very much a misconception, a misnomer, and a showing of uneducated people. I'm educated to the fact that there was slavery, for sure, make no mistake about it. That is the Virginia battle flag. A common misconception, says Mr. Randall. Floyd's family called on the to disarm our police and citizens. I would say de-arm the police for sure. I'd say take away guns from police officers, not sheriffs. I'm not saying county sheriffs. I'm saying disarm the police for sure. Again, not to be confused with disarming your elected county sheriffs and their deputies. So again, don't confuse me when I say it. Don't confuse my words when I say that. All right. So if you erase on part of history, then erase all of history. In all truth, the Confederate flag was never flown on slave ships. That was used in battles only. In fact, it was a very different flag that was used and flown on slave ships. And I'll let you figure out which one of those two it is. All right. So, good morning, David. Thanks for tuning in this morning. They are going to take Jefferson off of Mount Rushmore since he owned slaves. So did George Washington. Very interesting point to make there, David. I appreciate that comment this morning. Where does this stop? For sure. That is a great comment to bring to the conversation this morning. In fact, truth be known, the flag we fly as American flag came from the 13 stars in the 13 states of the Union who before, during, and after owned slaves. And I would argue the flag right now that we have represents slavery, as modern American citizens are in fact slaves to our current government system. So really, which flag represents slavery? Because to me it's certainly the one that you think is the good one. Or maybe it isn't. I don't know. But it's certainly the red, white, and blue, the one with 50 stars on it, that is racist, and it does not mean what it. In fact, I call it the magic sky cloth because people worship it like it's Jesus. And if you talk bad about it, oh my gosh, you're insane. You won't stand up and pledge allegiance to the magic sky cloth while my special song plays? No. Your flag doesn't represent what you think it does. And just because you have a really government propaganda skewed lens on the world doesn't mean I do. Now, I'll respect your right to stand up and worship whatever you want, including either one of those flags, to your death. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have to do it. And you can't force me to do it either way. So, again, I wanted to cover that story today real quick because that one is like in my backyard and that one plays a role. And that's not to say that this man does not have a right to protest as well. So I want to make it very clear. If George Floyd showed up if George Floyd's uncle showed up in Gettysburg, South Dakota, asking for people to come peacefully to participate in a peaceful protest. And I would have to say it'd have to be on a weekend because I'm a busy man. But I would support his right just as much to protest the history of the city and redress his grievance peacefully with the city. But I would also protect the city's right to protect their history no differently than his right to protest it. So that was my uncle of George Floyd story for the day. I wanted to make sure that I got that. But before I go today, I want to leave you guys with something that a friend of mine shared by the name of Mr. Lockie, as we call him, Lockie. Great guy, veteran. I miss him tremendously. I know everybody's just a phone call away, but I always miss people a lot. Real quick, ending out comments here. If you read the Pledge of Allegiance, it's not worshiping the cloth. It's pledging allegiance to the Republic and the flag that it stands for under God. Right. I pledge allegiance to the flag is the first words. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Allegiance. Loyalty to the flag. Loyalty to a symbol. That's symbolism. And symbolism is a form of worship, if you really break it down. And so I'm not that far off. To a republic, which we clearly don't have. And we are definitely not one nation, indivisible. We are one nation, visibly divided, with no justice and no liberty for anyone unless they can afford it. So, I don't, and will never pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And again, I'll let you worship who you choose to for religion. So with that being said, I have a little video here I want to end out the day with. It was shared by, again, a friend of mine, Mr. Lockie. I'm really disappointed that, again, everybody that would troll my comments doesn't realize that here I am. I'm available to you. I'm available to everybody. I'm accountable to everybody on my friends list. But I don't just let you disrespect me. And as easy as I could put that story of George Floyd up, I can put other stories up on this screen. I want you to understand that too if you're watching this from your sock account. But keep in mind again that I really do care about the people of my state, people of my country, and while I think that there's certainly people in this country that are good, there's also people in this country that are bad. But where do we actually divide? And how do we actually fix that divide? I don't know if I'm the man that answers that question. So I wish, but you guys have a good day or don't. The choice is always yours, and I will see you guys next time.
I happen to know the facts. Now, friends, I'm just an average American. But I'm an American. And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign money. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now, I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church.
Do you believe in that kind of talk?
That all makes pretty good sense to me. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons. You know these things.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fellow's talking about me.
And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies. These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them. Fight them and destroy them before they destroy us. Thank you.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him.
Well, yes, but he was talking about... What about those other people?
But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people.
What about you? You aren't American, are you?
I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin.
What were you doing there?
I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so. You see, they knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk. Somebody is going to get something out of it. And it isn't going to be you.